Good evening and welcome to the March 6th, 2023 regular meeting of Mayor and City Council. First item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to invite Melissa Liavano from our student union staff to come lead us in the pledge. Come right up to the podium. If everyone can please rise. Great.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Appreciate it. Next item on our agenda is reflection. I'd like to call for a moment of silence, please. Thank you all very much. Next on our agenda is approval of minutes. Tonight we have two sets of minutes before us. The first from Tuesday, February 21st, regular session. What is the pleasure of the council?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, carries unanimously. Next, we have the minutes from the joint work session on February 27th. What is the pleasure of the council?
Move approval. Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, carries unanimously. Next, we have presentations, and the first thing we're going to do is kind of long overdue, and I'd like all the council to join me up at the podium for the State of the City Awards, and I'll explain at the podium. Thank you, Doris. So, State of the City is an event that we do once a year around in springtime, usually March, April type of area. This year it will be March 30th, so please save the date. But we haven't actually had a State of the City event since the pandemic started. So at the State of the City, we give out 3 awards. We do Outstanding Organization, we do Friend of Gaithersburg, and we do Distinguished Resident of the Year. And we're a little overdue in having an actual in-person award ceremony because we had designated the awardees for 2020, but obviously we did not have the event and we have not done it since. So tonight, we are going back and we are going to award, and we're going to start with Outstanding Organization of the Year. And I'd like to invite everyone from our Gaithersburg Student Union to come up here with us. And come on up. Don't be shy. So the City Council and I are really pleased to present the 2020 Outstanding Organization Award to the Gaithersburg Student Union. The Student Union is a city-run club for high school students that provides after and out-of-school enrichment activities, including sports, arts, and music, field trips, work readiness programs, and volunteer opportunities as well. The club's volunteer efforts have supported numerous community activities throughout the years, including the city's holiday giving program, coat drives, Oktoberfest, Winter Lights, and more. In the fall of 2022 alone, we wouldn't have been able to say this in 2020, 179 members volunteered at various events, earning an impressive total of 1,654 student service learning hours. Members also take part in conferences and discussions on important youth topics, such as Respect, our teen dating forum, and the Youth Voice Summit, which I think is coming up again in the next month or so. The Student Union provides students who are new to Gaithersburg the opportunity to be part of the community and learn more about the city by being active participants in their community. Members feel a sense of pride in their city and also a sense of pride in what they've accomplished. In recognition of its impactful programs that enrich our city, it gives all of us great pleasure to present the 2020, very late, Outstanding Organization Award to the Gaithersburg Student Union. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, Jeff. All right, appreciate you guys. Another round of applause. Jeff might have to Photoshop that picture together. Okay. Next, I want to go to our distinguished friend of Gaithersburg. I'm very, very pleased to invite my friend, all our friends, our distinguished friend, Montgomery County Police Chief Marcus Jones. Both of you, come on up. Now, Marcus Jones, he not only does he have a distinguished and admirable record with Montgomery County Police for a long time, but he is just a wonderful human being. A 37-year veteran of Montgomery County Police Department, Chief Jones was sworn in as police chief in 2019. By the way, sworn in at Gaithersburg High School. He served as an assistant police chief until 2018, and prior to that, served as captain of the 3rd District Station from 2014 to 2018. Chief Jones served the Gaithersburg community when he was assigned to the city after joining the Montgomery County Police Department in 1985. Not to date him or anything, but that's some time. Working out of the Germantown station, his beat encompassed the areas of Old Town and Girard Street. In 2011, Chief Jones received Montgomery's Best Award for directing the Damascus Gardens Drug Market Initiative to eliminate an open-air drug market. Chief Jones lived in Gaithersburg. I will never tire of reminding people, in the Saybrook community for 10 years, raising 3 wonderful children with his wife, and his children graduated from Gaithersburg High School. Again, just the ties. He was a volunteer coach and embraced the philosophy of the Gaithersburg sports program. Athletics were a big part of his life, and coaching was his way of giving back to the community and serving as a role model. And to this day, I hear he is still remembered as Coach Jones. For his significant, long-standing contributions to the Gaithersburg community, gives all of us great pleasure to present Chief Marcus Jones with the 2020 Distinguished Friend Award. If you want to say a couple words. Sure.
So first and foremost, thank you to the mayor and the city council. Gaithersburg has always had a very special place in the Jones family in our heart. I have much pride in there. When the mayor noted about my when I was inducted and why. We picked Gaithersburg High School because it was just that, because this was not only where our kids, where they came up through the school system and went on and became college graduates and still have great ties here to Montgomery County, but Gaithersburg was really the foundation. And I was just so impressed. We've always been impressed with the programs and the commitment to community, to family, and to sports and all of what that goes in the city of Gaithersburg. We're still nearby. We're just not in the city anymore. But I'm always just happy to partner, even in my role now, to work with the great police department here in the great Gaithersburg and to work with the government. So thank you all so very much for this recognition. This means a whole lot. I'll make sure this sits pretty high in my office. So thank you all so much.
Yeah, we're just going to read. So our next honorees, our distinguished residents from 2020, could not be with us here tonight, unfortunately. After 3 years, we wish they were here, but I'm going to read this anyway, and then we will celebrate them when we see them. It was actually kind of a tie this year, or in 2020, for Distinguished Resident, and they happen to be married to each other, so that was really convenient. Sally and Tom Marchessault. We're delighted to present the 2020 Distinguished Resident Award to not just one, but two of Gaithersburg's finest residents and longtime volunteers, Sally and Tom Marchessault. Sally and Tom have lived in the Gaithersburg community for almost 4 decades, with the last 25 years in Kentlands. They both share a passion and commitment to serving and shaping the community they live in. Sally is no stranger to public service. She served as the Volunteer and Community Resources Coordinator for Montgomery County Public Schools for 24 years and helped implement the Student Service Learning Program. She received the Community Collaboration Award in 2002. In 2006, Sally was recruited to serve on the city's Ethics Commission and was elected chair before she even attended her first meeting. She was voluntold that she was chair of the Ethics Commission. So she volunteered on the commission until 2019, serving 9 years as the chair. Tom has served on the city's Board of Supervisors of Elections since 2015, helping oversee city elections, including verification of candidates, financial reports, and voting. He was just re-elected chair for the upcoming election cycle. Sally and Tom are both heavily involved in their neighborhood, and they're both active in the Kentlands Citizens Assembly. Sally volunteered for 6 years on the Kentlands Community Foundation, 2 as its chair. She was involved in the renovation of the greenhouse and developed the house tour program that benefited the Dolores Sawyer Camp Scholarship Fund here for the city of Gaithersburg. Tom coordinated the Neighborhood Watch listserv and has served on lots of ad hoc committees. Sally and Tom both exemplify what it means to be a volunteer, always willing to do their part to pitch in and help. We are grateful to both of them for their years of service to the Gaithersburg community, and it gives us all great pleasure to recognize Sally and Tom Marchessault as our 2020 Distinguished Resident Award winners. Let's give them a round of applause. And as I said, we will honor them as soon as we see them when they get back into town. And thank you all so much. We appreciate your patience in waiting the 3 years for this moment. Thank you all for what you do for our community. Okay, we're going to get back to business here. Okay, our next presentation is our Maryland General Assembly mid-session update, and I'd like to invite Tom Lonergan-Seeger, Teresa Hessler, Sarah Peters, and Tony Perez, collectively our legislative team. You guys could just sit down at the table over here. Great.
Good
Tom,
evening,
take it away.
Mayor. Sure will. Thanks so much. We're now a little over halfway through the 2023 session of the Maryland General Assembly. Some things remain the same, such as the introduction of thousands of bills being considered, but there have been some significant changes that have marked this current session. The election of 40 new delegates, 10 new senators, 5 new committee chairs, and even a new or newly named committee, the Education, Energy, and Environment Committee, and of course the election of Wes Moore as our governor. Also among those changes, and most notably for us here in Gaithersburg, is the new legislative team representing the city's interests in Annapolis. The Ashlar Government Group, or AGR, was awarded the contract in 2022 after a competitive RFP process, and their team has been hard at work on our behalf ever since. As you mentioned, Mayor Ashman, joining us tonight from AGR are the mid-session update from Annapolis are Teresa Hessler, Sarah Peters, and Tony Perez. It's all yours.
Thank you, Tom. Good evening, Mayor Ashman and members of the City Council. For the record, my name is Teresa Hessler, CEO of Ashlar Government Relations, and my team and I are here to provide a mid-session update from Maryland's General Assembly. So far to date, as Tom mentioned, there have been a lot of changes this year, which we are all diligently working on to provide that we are making sure that we track every piece of legislation. So to date, there have been over 1,300 Senate bills introduced and close to 1,700 House bills introduced, which is nearly double the amount of legislation we've seen in past years. Historically, the pace and the timing is off, Things are moving at a different rhythm than they have in past years, where voting would be happening by early February out of some committees, and that is just starting to pick up as we move closer to crossover date, which is March 20th. And for those that are unfamiliar with crossover, that's generally the date that the bills have to cross from the House or the Senate to be guaranteed a hearing in the opposite chamber. So what we've done is prepared an in-depth report that you all have in front of you this evening, just to touch on some of the legislation that we've weighed in on this session outside of our 3-team legislative priorities. So I won't go through that in extreme detail, but we're happy to answer questions on that, as well as just touch on some updates on our priorities, which the first one being police accountability boards and authorizing the creation of these boards for municipalities. So continuing to work with sponsors on that key priority, as well as anything transportation related and public notice requirements. So strategizing with different members of different committees on those 3 key priorities. And then we're also continuing to track the bond legislation. There are 2 pieces of bond legislation in for the city, and that is with Kelly Park field lighting and with Crown Historic Park. We have also included some information regarding cannabis legislation that was introduced this year, as far as the ballot initiative went for passing recreational cannabis and session dates of interest. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions or note on anything else.
Wow, that was quick.
That's why we have the handout.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Before we get into any specifics on specific bills, I just want to, first off, thank you all and welcome you all here to the chamber here in Gaithersburg, and express my appreciation for what a pleasure it has been to work with the 3 of you during this session. It has been a really busy session. In addition to our stated priorities, which we knew going in would be important to us, there have been any number of things that would have an impact on the city that we've had to sort of take quick action on, and you guys have been super responsive and very helpful in us expressing our opinion. It's still to be seen whether we're going to get our way on all these things, but I just want to say thank you first. And with that, let me open it up to council members, and I can follow up with questions of my own, but I talk to you guys so much anyway. Ryan?
I'll just echo what the mayor said. I've been having the opportunity to work closely with the team as well. We all just got to hang out last week at the joint luncheon of the Montgomery County and Prince George's County chapters of the Maryland Municipal League, which was a great opportunity for us to work with you as we collectively advocated our positions to state legislators who showed up for that great event. So just one more example of the great working relationship we've had, and I agree with what the mayor said. It's been a pleasure. We appreciate how engaged you all have been as a team. The open lines of communication have been terrific, and let's keep it up and try to finish strong in an otherwise really different kind of session this year.
Jim?
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for your advocacy on behalf of the city. In kind of speaking to that different pace and the new administration, is there any concern that because of the delay in getting to voting on a number of things, that any of our priorities might be in jeopardy of not being addressed?
If you would like to answer that.
So all things are unpredictable, and it has been moving at a very different pace. Not abnormal for the fact that it's a session after an election. This is pretty normal. But if we go through the 3 priorities, we have the bill that would allow municipalities to have their own police accountability board. We're still having dialogue with the chair of the Judicial Proceedings Committee. We're still having conversations with MML. We're talking to associations that represent the chiefs and the sheriffs, sort of sorting through what makes sense this year. Is it amending the bill? Is it waiting until, allowing the bill that passed last year sort of sift out? So we're still having conversations. March 25th is the crossover date. The second priority was basically anything that would enhance MARC service. Well, unlike last year, there isn't any bills with a lot of teeth to do that. There was that bill last year that said, hey, let's create investment pots of money so that they go towards investing in MARC and other transit.
So stay tuned right now there are no bills that really give Mark enhancements, but we stay tuned to the budget. We've supported some relevant bills. And then the third is a notice. We know that it is costly to do public notice in the Washington Post. That is your newspaper of general circulation. We've been navigating sort of creatively what we could do to shed light on that problem. You guys, it's not just for you that it's expensive. It's across the state. It's municipalities, it's counties, it's the state government. So we're looking at creative ways to potentially use budget language to shed some light on the data that we don't have today, so that potentially down the road we can use that data to figure out what the solution may be. So stay tuned. Nothing in jeopardy right now. I'll say, Mark, there really isn't anything hard that we're lobbying for, but the other two priorities are still very much on the table, and there's still time to sort them out.
Excellent, thank you. And how about for the bond bills?
Yeah, so same kind of an answer, right? Everything has been introduced. Everything is online. We're continuing to work with the chair of both the Senate and House. So House Appropriations Committee, Budget Taxation Committee, vice chairs to make sure that those bond bills stay in the capital budget.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Lisa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In terms of the cannabis legislation, is there any impact that you see, positive or negative, to municipalities in that legislation?
I'll take that. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Not at this time. There was several amendments that were put into the legislation at this point, and it just moved out of the Economic Matters Committee 16-5 last Thursday. So there's still going to be some things. Let's just say this. It's like everything else. There's still a lot of moving parts with the legislation. So the Senate's going to have to look at it. It'll probably be on the floor this week because it just came out of committee, but nothing that impacts municipalities in a negative way at this point.
But there was, in the slightly positive way,
Yeah.
right? There was at one point there was a little sales tax provision that would give us a fraction of the sales tax that came in from that. Is that still there? Or
Yeah,
no?
so they said 30% of the marijuana tax revenue would go to community reinvestment for at least the next 10 years, if that's what you're interested in. That's in there right now.
Okay.
That came out. And
All right, I must be thinking about a different bill where there was like a direct sales tax benefit.
That's what's in there now. Again, we still have to get through the Senate.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
they're going to look at all these amendments, and the word is like everything that's in there now may not stick.
Yeah.
That's what's going on in the bill right now. So
Yeah. I mean, it should, reasonably, that should stay. We have to deal with keeping our streets and our communities safe. So we should get a piece. But anyway, this is not that hearing. So
Preaching to the choir, Mr. Mayor.
Rob or Neil, you guys have any questions, comments, or no?
Just thanks for the good work. Everything else has been covered. Thank you.
Ditto.
Well done. Thank you guys very much. Again, it's been a pleasure, and we look forward to our continued work together.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is another happy moment for the city, as Tanisha is going to introduce a couple of new staffers.
Yes, it is a happy moment, especially for the staff who's been doing some double duty. So it's a great day for us. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tanisha Briley, your city manager. And we are here tonight to commemorate the official start day of two key positions for the city, the Communication and Public Engagement Manager and the Racial Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Program Manager. They have been with us officially now for almost 11 hours, and I am counting on you not to scare them away. First, I'm so very pleased to introduce you to the city's new Communication and Public Engagement Division Manager, Courtney Davis. Courtney, come on up.
Give her a round of applause.
Courtney comes to us with more than 15 years of experience working in a variety of communication and marketing roles. She has led teams of content creators focusing on writing, social media, communications, and marketing during her career. In her most recent role, she served as the Assistant Director of Public Relations at Prince George's Community College. And under her leadership, the college strategically increased its media relations, engaged local and national reporters, and secured op-eds, feature stories, and profile pieces. Courtney began her professional career as a marketing manager and publicist for national Broadway tours. But technically, I think we can claim that Courtney started her career with us, since one of her first jobs was as a teenager. She was a counselor in training with us in our Parks, Recreation, and Culture department.
That's awesome.
Indeed. And I believe she was even a camper with us in her youth. So we go way back with Courtney. She holds a Bachelor of Arts in Communication Studies and a Master of Science in Management with a specialization in Public Relations, both from the University of Maryland University College in Adelphi, Maryland. She also happens to be a Gaithersburg resident, along with her fur baby, Coco Chanel. Courtney's work will include leading the Office of Communication and Public Engagement, which is a new office for the city by name only. Technically, we refer to that group as PIO, the Public Information Office. Under the new restructuring, we've got a new title as well to reflect our strategic priorities as we go forward. Her efforts will help us to continue to deliver effective and innovative communication that will ensure transparency and encourage dialogue and community involvement. She will also coordinate marketing of city facilities and programs, oversee public relations and engagement strategies, and serve as the city's public information officer. Welcome, Courtney.
All right.
I'm excited to be here, so it feels like coming home.
Welcome. Courtney, I got a question for you. Have you ever been in a situation where everybody around you has strong opinions about communication and it's your job? Because welcome to Gaithersburg.
I'm ready.
Awesome.
She said not to scare her.
Specific instructions.
All right, I believe that.
Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. One more round of applause.
You had one job, man. Just one. Okay, so next up, I'm very pleased to introduce you to the city's new Racial Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Program Manager, Hazel Monet. Hazel, come on up. So Hazel comes to us with more than 12 years of experience working in racial equity and leadership development. In her most recent role, she served as talent consultant at Building for Mission, where she developed and implemented aligned equity visions and race equity, diversity, and inclusion action plans for clients. Hazel holds a Bachelor of Arts in History from Willamette University and a Master of Divinity from Boston University School of Theology. She's also fluent in Spanish and all sorts of other just amazing things. She is, that's right, skilled in the art of word searches, loves to sing, and is a huge fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, Neil,
there's
got there's some kindred
there are opinions
spirits.
on that up here.
She resides in Montgomery County with her wife and daughter. Hazel's work will include providing leadership to advance the city's racial equity, diversity, and inclusion goals and implementing our racial equity awareness and action plan. She will oversee the development and implementation of programs and policies aimed at identifying and addressing systemic barriers within the organization to improve equitable service delivery. With support from the mayor and council, this important position was created as an outgrowth of recommendations from a cohort of city employees who participated in a regional racial equity learning program that was created by the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments, COG, in partnership with the GARE, Government Alliance on Race and Equity, in 2019. 5 city staff participated in that inaugural year-long program, which was designed to help governments normalize conversations about race and advance racial equity. Their work became the basis of the Racial Equity Awareness and Action Plan that was endorsed and approved by all of you in 2021. Later this week, the city will be sending its second group of participants through this regional learning program, which will include Hazel, along with a couple of members of the senior leadership team and division heads. We are delighted to have found such a highly qualified candidate to serve in this new position,
and I am looking forward to Hazel's leadership and stewardship in this important priority area for us as we all work collectively to advance Gaithersburg racial equity, diversity, and inclusion initiatives. Welcome, Hazel.
Thank you so much for your commitment to this work and creating this position. And I'm so honored to be here. And I can't wait to work with you and do Marvel things with you now. Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Exciting. Yeah, Tanisha's ready. She's just waiting for the transition here. Go ahead, Tanisha. All you.
Thank you. So you get me three presentations this evening, all of which I'm super excited about. So tonight, I'm also pleased to share a demo with you of a feature of our new strategic plan management software called Envisio. Envisio has several features that are designed to help us improve internal and external tracking and reporting of the city's progress towards our strategic goals. As a quick refresher, last year we all participated in that very collaborative process, which involved each of you, city staff, and many stakeholders throughout the community to refresh the city's strategic plan. As a result, a new 5-year plan was designed to reflect the city's collective long-term goals and the actions needed in order to achieve them. As we refreshed the strategic plan, we also committed to improving the reporting process, and this new software helps us achieve efficiency and provides a new avenue of transparency through a public dashboard that we're launching tonight. The dashboard is designed to be a quick and easy way to help you and residents understand the city's goals and our progress towards achieving them. So you can get to our strategic plan through several ways on the city's website. In this case, I'm under the About Us page or header, and I've clicked into the mission, vision, values, and strategic plan. Under there, you can read more about the strategic plan, and down below, you can click on 2 links. One which will take you to a more detailed review of the plan, and this one here which will take you right to the dashboard. So I'm going to click here, and the dashboard works. Very excited. Yay. So here's the landing page for the dashboard itself. As you may recall, our new strategic plan is organized into 9 outcome areas: safe and welcoming community, vibrant culture, economic development and redevelopment, environmental stewardship and sustainability, equitable outcomes, viable transportation options, fiscal responsibility, great place to work, and excellent city services and facilities. Each outcome area consists of 1 or more actionable strategies that reflect numerous activities, programs, and projects throughout the city and all departments. As you can see here, there's a color-coded dashboard designed kind of like a traffic light to give you a quick visual display of the progress in each of the strategic outcome areas. There's a legend at the bottom of the page which helps you understand what each color means. So green, for example, is good. It's going to mean we're on track. If you see some red, it means we've had major disruption. Most of the time, those things are caused by transition in staff, a delay in materials, or other things that just really bring things to a standstill. A yellow is some disruption, so maybe there's just been a slight delay, but we plan to get back on track. So this legend helps you understand what each of the colors mean. Then you can click into any of these outcome areas for more detailed information. So I'm going to click in to safe and welcoming community. So now you can get more information. You can see here there's a full description of what we mean by safe and welcoming community. And then you see this little bar here, that circle that says 7%. So out of our 5-year plan, we are so far 7% accomplished, or we've made 7% of progress in this area. And here's the dashboard from the first page. You also get an update here that reflects the most recent update. In our case, the update reflects 2 quarters of data due to the timing of when we implemented the software. This recent update is from July 1 of last year through December 31st, so the first 2 quarters of our fiscal year. And you just get a quick summary here of what's happened. What have we accomplished? What have we achieved? In some cases, what have been some of the barriers? And then down below are the strategies that all relate to this particular outcome area. So in this case, we've got 4 different strategies, and you can see the progress and status of each of those. You can even drill down further and get a brief update on each strategy and what's going on with each strategy. Now, what you don't see are the dozens and dozens of action items that are rolled into each strategy. These action items reflect all of those activities across all city departments and the work that they're doing. They're reported on internally on a quarterly basis, and all of that work and progress rolls up to become this very simple and easy to read dashboard for the public. So each of them are designed in the same way. And the next iteration of the plan or of the dashboard, there will also be performance metrics added. You all are used to seeing performance measures. We have not gotten rid of those. We do report on them annually, however, and they aren't due until the next quarter. So that each outcome area will also have performance measures that will be designed in the same transparent, easy to read fashion. So with that, I would like to thank the city staff that helped pull this all together. The project was led by Cindy Hines in the city manager's office, and she was supported by Francisco before he left IT, who then took over, was Brian Helms, and who helped us tremendously with the design and layout of the dashboard was Irene Helper, who's our assistant webmaster, and Jeff Baldwin, who's the webmaster for the city. So thanks to all of those staff, and then thanks to the dozens and dozens of staff who added to their reporting and got all their reporting done. They had to learn a new skill and learn a new thing, but at the end of the day, I think I heard from everyone that it was a better process than we've done in the past, and it was efficient, and I think it'll be easier the next time around. So with that, I can take any questions you have about the dashboard.
I just want to join in on your congratulations and thanks to staff. I think you're understating when you say it's better than what we've had in the past, because we haven't had this. We haven't had any sort of anything close to a live reporting thing in previous years. Now we have this sort of live, updated, transparent look at our strategic plan and what our progress is in achieving these goals. So I think it's cool, and I look forward to seeing how it fleshes out and is adopted by residents and what comments we get. But I'm excited about it. So great job to everybody. Any other questions or comments? It seems pretty intuitive. The fewer questions, the better. Jeff Baldwin, this means we're a success.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, I'd like to invite Laura May Food up here to lead us in a courtesy review.
Okay, good evening. The applicant and property owner, North Westland Joint Venture, is requesting a change in use for 8945 North Westland Drive, which is this property located here. It's this building on the edge, but it includes the entire property outlined in red, pursuant to Section 24198C of the City Code. This property is zoned CD, corridor development. The applicant is requesting to add a list of allowable uses to the concept plan and amend the parking tabulation chart in order to facilitate the conversion of an office suite to retail. They have a potential new tenant that wants to locate a hair salon at this location. This application does not propose any physical changes to the exterior of the building or to the site. For CD zone properties, changes in use require an amendment to the concept plan, and section 24198C2 on the screen here provides direction. It states that after staff provides a courtesy review of the application, council has two options. The first option, they can find that the application has a minor effect and direct the Planning Commission to make a final decision on the amendment, or the council may direct that the amendment be referred to the Planning Commission for public hearing and recommendation, and then come back before council for final action. So as I mentioned, the application proposes adding a list of allowable uses to the concept plan to include church, office, retail, and private education. And this is just the concept plan with the list of allowable uses added. All of these uses are currently on the property now, or they've been located there in the past. Adding this list of allowable uses will help streamline the process for approving new tenants in the future. So if approved in the future, as long as a new proposed use is one of these allowable uses listed and established on the concept plan, then the concept site plan will not need to be amended. Staff will just review the parking tabulation chart and update that to ensure there's adequate parking, but that can be done at a staff level. And the applicant did provide an updated parking tabulation chart, which shows that the conversion of the suite from office to retail can be accommodated. There is enough parking on site. There's 133 spaces and only 108 required. So staff recommends that the council find the application to have a minor effect and direct the Planning Commission to make a final decision on the amendment. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Laura. I don't necessarily have a vote on this, but I think the staff recommendation makes a lot of sense here. Questions, comments from the council?
It seems like the very definition of a minor change to the site, to the plan. So I'd like to move the whatever it is we're moving.
The staff recommendation.
Staff recommendation.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, that carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Laura.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is public comments. This is the time the mayor and council like to hear from anybody who'd like to speak on any topic. Just checking to see if we have a public hearing, but we do not. Any topic that you'd like, we ask that you state your name and address or neighborhood if you feel more comfortable for the record. We ask that you keep your comments to no more than 3 minutes. If you got more than that, just send us the rest of the testimony in writing and we'll consider it just like oral testimony. Do we have anybody who'd like to testify this evening? Come on up, Carl.
Hello, my name is Carl Van Est. I live in 52 Redding Ridge Drive in Gaithersburg, and I'm proud to be a citizen of Gaithersburg for the last 30 years, and I appreciate your good work. First, I'd like to talk about Ordinance 813. In this ordinance, we ask that a minor change be made to it so that dumps that affect our watersheds are cleaned up within 24 hours. Right now, there isn't a time frame associated with this ordinance. For salt dumps, this is especially important. We don't want fish kills like we saw in Lake Veruna in 2021. Salt is a pollutant. Your EAC submitted a memo describing the need for this change. I've shown you several times why this change is needed with examples from other local sites. I'd hate to be in charge when a dump like this occurs. Again, I'd like to also talk about Westside Drive. I've shared with Doris 2 pictures of garbage along the street opposite Festival Shopping Center. I suggest that you add a garbage can or 2 in this area so that our neighbors will live in a cleaner environment. Again, safety and cleanliness was the first thing, or safe and welcoming, sorry, was the first item in your dashboard. Cleanliness is one of the key factors in safety. Clearly, the lack of trash cans isn't helping. I appreciate the city doing pickups here on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but it's clear that something else needs to happen. Both of the things that I've been talking about are public safety issues. Cleanliness and safety issues, public safety is job one. So cleaning up a dump in a timely manner is important. Cleaning up garbage is important. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else here in the room want to testify? We have a few people on Zoom as well. Not seeing anybody. Okay, let me just go over to Zoom. Anybody on Zoom who'd like to testify, just use the Zoom raise hand function. I see one hand up. Tech team, if you could bring up Susie Ward, that would be great. Susie, just unmute yourself, state your name and address or neighborhood, and go right ahead.
Hi, I'm Susie Ward, and I live at 437 Gaither Street in Deer Park. First, I'd like to thank Public Works. This morning I called to say that for somehow the Gaither Street sign on the top of the street pole that at the intersection of Gaither and Deer Park, somehow Gaither Street sign had fallen off or been knocked off. So I called, and the lady that helped me was very helpful. She put in a work order, and by this afternoon, the sign has been restored to its proper place. So kudos to Public Works for that. Secondly, I have a question. At some point, I heard that maybe we were going to be, the city was going to repave Gaither Street, and I'm just wondering what the status is on that. And then I have a question about Duval Park. Yeah, last year about this time, I asked about having Duval Park aerated and overseeded because there's more dirt than there is grass in the park. And it was my understanding, I was told that when the playground equipment was replaced, because we're supposed to get new playground equipment, that they would aerate and overseed. However, they never replaced our playground equipment, and nor did they aerate and overseed. So I'm just wondering if that's going to happen this spring. And that's about all I have at the moment, but I did appreciate the quick response for replacing our sign down at the corner. And thank you for your service, Mayor and City Council.
Thank you very much. Before those two questions about the repaving schedule and Duval Park are Public Works questions, and so we'll have to get back to you. I'm trying to think. I probably have Susie's email address. I'm sure Public Works. I'm sure someone, Susie, if you don't mind, send me a note with your email address, and we'll get you answers to those questions. And then, Carl, your testimony is a Public Works question too. I'll have them follow up with you as well. Tech team, if you could bring up Tony Hudson, please, that would be great. Tony, just unmute yourself, state your name and address, or go right ahead.
Tony Hudson, 214 Tulip Drive in Deer Park. I'm a neighbor of Susie's, and she pretty much said what I wanted to say. I'm concerned about Duval Park. It's our neighborhood park. It's a very shady tree, many trees, and through the years, it was a place that families like to go because it would be cool in the summer. In fact, the city camp, one of the camps used to be at Duval, and it was the only one that was held outdoors the whole day. And kids really liked doing that, being there. It also, we had family reunions there, my mother's 75th birthday. We had a big city party there, I remember, calling attention to climate change. So I've lived here for 52 years, and it's a park that has served our community well. But as Susie indicated, it's really feeling neglect, feels like neglect, because we got the sign up about the new playground equipment, and that hasn't happened in 2 years. And then last year, the seeding didn't take place. And I walk through the park every morning when I walk the dog, and they raked all the leaves in a big pile that was there for about 2 months. And of course, when they took the pile away, it had killed all the grass, so there's more mud. There's more mud now than there was last year. There's also a place that I reported a number of times in the last couple of years that the ground is depressed, and it collects water that does not seep down into the ground very quickly at all. And it's a place for mosquitoes in the summer. So there's a lot of work to be done on Duval Park, and I really would like it taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it. Any other testimonies on Zoom? Not seeing, oops, I should have stopped that. Not seeing any, okay. So we will have to get Public Works to follow up on these questions. For anybody who's viewing this meeting and not used to seeing city council meetings, this is local government. When you talk about aerating and overseeding and places where the water is not soaking into the ground. You're not hearing this at state hearings. You're hearing this at local hearings. Great testimonies. Appreciate it. We'll have staff follow up. And if you guys don't hear from staff in a reasonable amount of time, feel free to follow up with us, and we will nudge them along. So next is from the mayor and city council, and we are going to start tonight with Jim McNulty.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I first want to say congratulations to the Gaithersburg High School boys basketball team. The Trojans have made the Final Four for the 4A state quarterfinals with a 67-52 win over Broadneck. They will be playing Parkville this Wednesday at 6:30 in the semifinals. They'll be playing at Wise High School, so it'll be a neutral site. And if they can win that, then they will be in the finals this weekend. So it would be quite something to have both the football and basketball state championships in the city of Gaithersburg.
It would be amazing.
Yes. So wishing them the best of luck. If I can get to a game, I'm going to try. But fantastic, very exciting for the school and for the team, and wishing them all the best. On February 24th, I attended the Economic Development Breakfast at the Kentlands, along with members of the Economic Development Committee, as well as the Old Town Advisory Committee, which, as some people may know, but many people don't, OTAC is actually a subcommittee of the Economic Development Committee. The keynote speaker was Josh Kurtz, who is the founding editor of Maryland Matters, which covers Maryland politics. And he spoke about the ongoing legislative session, which you heard earlier, an update from our legislative team, talking about the first session of the Governor Wes Moore administration and how things are going on there. We also talked about his business when he started Maryland Matters and the things that surprised him as an entrepreneur. And I personally just wanted to thank him for all of his work covering local politics and local issues. Since we lost the Gazette, it's been really difficult to get information out about the things that are going on in local communities. And it's really important to have outlets like Maryland Matters, like the MoCo Show, that really get the information out and helps us communicate information to the public. So it was really great to have Mr. Kurtz there with us that Friday morning. And then finally, this Thursday, the mayor and I will be visiting Diamond Elementary. We'll be visiting Ms. Segrist's second grade class. One of the things that they talk about during the year is hard work, determination, collaborating with others, and they reached out and invited us to come and spend a little time with them. So this will be the first time that I get to visit a school that isn't one of my kids' schools. So this will be a fun opportunity to meet with the kids, and I'm looking forward to that. And that's all I have today, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Lisa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I associate with the comments from Councilmember McNulty about the economic development breakfast. It was very educational, and I felt like we kind of got the inside scoop from Josh Kurtz in terms of what's going on in the legislative front. I also attended the 480 Club 10th anniversary, and congratulations to Joe Hooks for the work that he does there in his mentoring program and sports program for youth in the city and outside of the city. It was interesting to hear from the youth and how they've overcome challenges by participating in the 480 Club. So congratulations, and I wish them 10 more years of success and even beyond that. Also, I wanted to thank the Weed Warriors and a member of the Weed Warrior who took time to educate me on invasives, both plants and animals that are growing within the city that weren't naturally born here. So, and the problems that they bring to the city, but also the beautiful look that they bring to the city. So you take the good with the bad. And maybe there's an opportunity, and I'll speak with the city manager about it, doing an educational workshop. I learned a lot about invasives. I actually Googled it before the meeting, so it was quite impressive about the plants that we look at that we think are beautiful that will wrap around a tree and choke it. So quite interesting. I was also invited to Springbrook High School outside of this district, the 5th district, I believe, to speak on Career Day to 6 classes of 9th and 11th graders. So I was able to keep their attention, I think. I hope. It was very interactive. They had lots of questions, a lot of questions about salaries and how to win elections. So I'm going to skip to the end. So it was a very, very interactive group, and I thank Springbrook High School for inviting me to do that. Also today spoke with the Rio property manager about some challenges that the Rio is having in terms of some behavior that we're seeing from youth that begin with TikTok challenges. Challenges such as let's all jump off a bridge into the water. So conversations about how we can keep our youth safe. That's not a great idea. That is not a lake that is meant to be for swimming. So we don't want to see our youth get hurt by following through on some of these challenges, which beyond even jumping in a lake, some of these TikTok challenges are extremely harmful. So conversations of how can we keep our youth safe and not have these challenges going on within not just the Rio property, but have it progress into other properties within the city of Gaithersburg. So I was happy to attend that meeting and brainstorm through that and work with staff to come up with a solution. And that is it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Lisa. We'll go to Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor. We're starting to see the signs of spring around with warmer weather. I hope everyone's enjoying the beginning of flowers and trees starting to bloom. And for those who are unfortunate enough to have allergies this time of year, I hope it's not too bad for you. I want to offer best wishes to everyone celebrating the various cultural and religious festivals of this time of year in our wonderfully diverse city. I actually just raced over here tonight from a Purim celebration at my synagogue, and I don't know if Hazel is still in the room, but I was actually dressed in costume as Loki from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So Hazel and I will have a lot to talk about, I'm sure.
Interesting choice.
What's that?
Interesting choice.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought about whether I should keep the costume on when I came into City Hall, but fortunately it transformed pretty easily into a jacket and tie, but we'll talk about that another time. But Of course, we also have the St. Patrick's Day Parade coming up. I'm very excited about that. Wearing my green tie today, and I know that our Hindu friends will be celebrating the Spring Festival of Holi coming up this week as well. And for whatever other celebrations, cultural or otherwise, that folks in our community are enjoying now or in the coming days, wish you all the best and fun and joy for you and yours. The Economic Development Breakfast was already mentioned. I'll associate myself with those comments. I thought it was a great event. I mentioned briefly earlier when we had our legislative advocacy team here that a couple of us attended a legislative lunch organized by the Montgomery and Prince George's County chapters of the Maryland Municipal League. The mayor and I were in attendance last week in Annapolis at that lunch, and Tom Lonergan-Seeger was there. I don't know if anybody else from staff was there.
No, I think it was just the three of us.
But we made sure to do our job, work in the room, and talking to state delegates and state senators about our legislative priorities on behalf of Gaithersburg, and hopefully continue to make progress on those. I want to again congratulate all of our 2020 distinguished awardees from earlier tonight. It was great to have at least many of them, although not all of them, here in person tonight. And want to again welcome Courtney and Hazel. We look forward to working with you. We're excited to have you on board. And then finally, just wanted to offer a friendly public service announcement that daylight saving time clock change is coming up. I guess I have this debate with my wife every year, but we lose an hour this coming weekend. So please remember to change your clocks. And this is also a good time to check your smoke detectors as well. Yep.
Well done. I hate losing that hour. We're going to go to Neil.
You want me to do this one, right?
Yeah, please.
All right. First, an announcement. A closed executive session was held by the mayor and city council on Monday, February 27, 2023 at approximately 7:55 p.m. pursuant to a motion adopted unanimously. The session was proposed to be closed pursuant to the general provisions article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, which you all know very well by now, Section 3-305B3, to consider the acquisition of real property for the public purpose and matters directly related thereto. The topic discussed was property acquisition to address city space needs. Present at the meeting were Mayor Ashman, council members Harris, Henderson, McNulty, Spiegel, and Wu, who participated via phone. Staff present were City Manager Briley, City Attorney Board, Deputy City Manager Enslinger, Assistant City Manager Lonergan-Seeger, and Economic Development Manager Disk. Upon conclusion of the discussion, the closed meeting was adjourned at approximately 8:35 p.m. Okay. So beyond that, when you go later in this from the council, you end up wanting to talk about a bunch of things that have already been talked about. So I'll just touch on them briefly. I did attend the 10th anniversary of the 480 Club honoring Joe Hooks. Great event, very inspiring what they're doing for the young people of our community. I'd also met a couple of days earlier with Dawn Ludke, who's one of the new county council members, to talk about some of the things that had been brought up at the discussion about Lake Forest Mall, particularly from many of those same young people looking for some more outlets, possibly a civic use at Lake Forest. I brought Dawn up to speed, and she attended the 480 Club meeting as well. So hopefully we're stirring the pot, and I know Mayor Ashman has been talking to people about the possibilities there as well.
And just, can I interrupt for just a second?
You're the mayor.
Just to be clear, we're not talking, these conversations have nothing to do with the specific rezoning or concept plan that's before us. These are about issues that are tangential, but they don't have anything specific to do with those.
Thank you for the footnote.
Quasi-judicial matters.
Thank you for the footnote, Mr. Mayor. Also attended the part of the Economic Development Breakfast. Unfortunately, I couldn't stay for the talk because I had to take my son to school, but it was a great event, and I'm glad that it was able to be held in our city with an important speaker because of, as Jim said, we need more media outlets. We need more ways to get the word out. like to welcome Courtney and Hazel to our city. I look forward to working with you both. We need your help. Also like to add my congratulations and best wishes to all the honorees from 2020 for the Student Union, for their good work, for Chief Jones, who's been a great friend to the city for many, many years, and for my good friends Sally and Tom Marchessault, whose good works I've been privileged to witness very closely at firsthand. And I look forward to the 2021 and 2022 honorees at some point as well. We seem to
we'll see about that.
We've got a lot of catching up to do.
We're definitely going to have 2023.
All right.
That will happen.
All right. Well, thank you. That's all for me, Mayor.
Thank you, Neil. We'll go to Rob.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll just ditto everything with a special ditto for Courtney and Hazel. Welcome. I'm sorry I missed the economic development breakfast. I was supervising some vehicle issues, but went on to be there. That's all I got.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. Just a couple notes. I want to welcome, I had a chance to do a couple ribbon cuttings since the last meeting. I want to welcome the businesses New Life Wellness and Forever Fit Physical Therapy. Tom Largan-Seeger was with me at those ribbon cuttings, and they look like good businesses, and those are always the best type of events that we do. And remind everybody that Gaithersburg Book Festival is coming up on May 20th. You can find out all the information at gaithersburgbookfestival.org. I'm not going to start getting into specific authors that will be coming here and appearing and to meet you and sign your books yet, because you'll forget those names if I start now. But trust me, start looking. There's some amazing authors coming in all kinds of different genres, all different ages. It's going to be incredible. Free to attend, free to park, gaithersburgbookfestival.org. And go Gaithersburg Trojans. Trojan Pride is on the rise. Let's do it. I will note that the next week we will have a work session, March 13th, 7:30 p.m., to receive an update on the intersection pedestrian safety study, and a presentation on the city's bus shelter advertising and maintenance services. And you can participate same way as you are with this meeting, either in person or virtually on Zoom. The next regular meeting of the Mayor and Council will be on Monday, March 20th. And with that, we'll go to From the City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Ashman. I just wanted to use my time tonight to thank Jeff Baldwin. I know he may have gone already, but Jeff stepped in and stepped up as acting communication and public engagement manager after Britta's departure. And I think if you think about the last 6 months or so, I certainly haven't seen any blips in service there. And I think that's a testament to his leadership, and as well as the staff really coming together to support one another through the transition. It was a tough go. There were some periods of lots and lots of extra hours being worked as staff pulled double duty sometime, and I just really want to publicly thank Jeff for stepping in and for his leadership and support for us during this transition. He is more excited than anyone to have Courtney aboard, so thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, we thank Jeff as well. Please convey that to him as well. Okay, we're going to go to Economic Development Update. Tom Lonergan-Seeger.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor, and good evening. A couple of items. The Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation, we'll call them MCEDC, and the National Cybersecurity Center of Excellence, NCCOE, are collaborating on a project known as the Cybersecurity Connections Initiative. NCCOE is a collaborative that NIST, Maryland Department of Commerce, and Montgomery County jointly established to help further cybersecurity tech and best practices across various economic sectors. These stakeholders hope to provide cybersecurity services to companies, government agencies, and academic entities alike. They also aim to better address the cyber needs of the state and connect cyber companies and workers with those seeking to boost digital security. They're going to work with Montgomery College and the universities at Shady Grove to help support students in the field and grow the area's cyber pipeline. And, of course, collectively, we hope that this initiative will support tech transfer from the federal labs and other entrepreneurship activities into the ecosystem. We know we've all aspired for that, and we wish them well. And it was nice to see the Maryland Commerce Secretary, Kevin Anderson, here in town to sign off on that today. So we look forward to having that go along. I also wanted to welcome Brewhouse Kentlands. Did anybody go to the welcome? I figured you did. What do you think?
I've been there twice now.
Really? My first day is tomorrow. It did open for business over the weekend at 325 Main Street. Sorry, Counselor, at the space formerly occupied by Clear Skies Meaderies. Beyond Coffee owners Lori and Kirsty.
I'll support any business.
I know you will.
Even non-alcohol.
I know you will. But this one does have alcohol, to be clear. It does have beer, wine, and cocktails. Food also. But we do wish them success and luck with their new endeavor. And Councilmember Siegel, I've done my best to get an exact date on the opening of Charlie Prime. And the best I could get to was within 2 months, maybe.
Well, where's that one going to be?
At Rio.
Oh, Rio. Oh, where the Thai place? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Cool, thank
That's all
you.
I got. You got it. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Let's see what we got next. Nate Bassett, our budget manager. We are going to talk about the introduction of the FY24 budget.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor Ashman and Council. I'm here tonight for the agenda item, introduction of an ordinance adopting the city budget for fiscal year July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2024, and levying an ad valorem tax on all assessable property within the city of Gaithersburg, Maryland. This item is intended to introduce the city's FY24 draft budget ordinance and the public hearing schedule for the city's FY24 budget ordinance. The FY24 proposed budget does not contain any changes to the proposed ad valorem tax rate, and the city is exempt from the state of Maryland's notice and hearing requirements for fiscal year 2024, as the city's real property tax rate of 0.262% is lower than the constant yield property tax rate of 0.263%. When required by state ordinance, the constant yield tax rate hearing and the public budget hearing would fall on the same date. After tonight, staff will prepare and publish the notice of the budget ordinance and public hearing in the Washington Post on next Thursday, March 16th, 2023, so a week from Thursday. Staff are also preparing a detailed budget book to be made available to the mayor and city council on March 31st and posted online to the public on April 3rd, with hard copies available for viewing at City Hall. Staff will provide notice of any changes to the proposed budget between the introduction of the initial budget ordinance and preparation of the detailed budget book during the budget hearing. Staff will receive updates to the health insurance rates in March that may impact the FY24 proposed budget. However, we do not anticipate any major changes prior to the publication of the proposed budget. The hearing to allow for public comment on the FY24 proposed budget will be held on April 3rd, 2023. Staff have scheduled the budget work session for Monday, April 10th, with an additional work session, if necessary, on Tuesday, April 11th. Staff requests that the mayor and city council leave the record open for further public comment until April 26th, 2022. We anticipate that the FY24 budget will be brought back to you for final consideration and adoption on May 15th, 2023. In the proposed budget ordinance, you'll note that the reappropriation for FY24 is larger than usual. This amount consists of a $10 million transfer to CIP above our normal transfer to pre-fund some upcoming projects. Another $1 million is a transfer to asset replacement above the amount we would normally fund. These reappropriations are possible due to the unplanned addition to general fund balance in FY22 of $14 million. More details on these transfers will be provided at the public hearing and work session in April. Staff did not make any major changes to the budget process for FY24 and are currently working with our new vendor to implement OpenGov for the FY25 budget process. I would like to take a moment to thank all of the city staff involved in the budget process for their hard work during this year. I now request that you, the mayor and city council, formally announce the public hearing date of April 3rd and leave the record for public comment open until April 26th. Thank you, and if you have any questions.
Thank you, Nate. Appreciate it. Do have one question, but you can feel free to get back to me on it. I was just curious about the trend, what we're expecting in health insurance premium from the city side? Is it going up or
It's not going down.
I mean, usually it's not going down.
We are expecting an increase. We've budgeted a 7%.
We budgeted
but
7%.
We have a meeting with our carrier this week, and we'll get more details.
Okay, just out of curiosity.
We usually get those final numbers, I think, in April.
Yeah. So we'll get some preliminary understanding of what our claims trends has been, and then we'll finalize that number for us just before probably the budget workshop. So we'll have more final numbers then.
Yeah. Okay.
Crystal ball right now.
Yeah. Okay.
But we're hoping less than 7%.
Questions or comments, or would go ahead, Neil, please.
I just have a quick question. There's two sections here near the bottom of the budget numbers: the proposed transfers and other revenues appropriated for. And the list of funds are pretty much the same in each. What's the difference between those two categories?
So the transfers are specifically revenue coming from the general fund and going to those funds. So the housing program fund, the CIP fund, those other associated asset replacement, those are transfers from the general tax revenue into those funds. The other revenues appropriated would be, for example, any bond bill funding we would now put directly into the CIP. In addition, the opioid abatement settlement, those funds will be directly incorporated into that fund. And so the revenue showing in that other line is just...
Yeah, I understand. The $6 million from the stormwater fund is coming, that's all from the stormwater fees?
Yes, stormwater fees and then the program management. Mm-hmm.
I'm just surprised that that number is that high, but we can get into that as we actually discuss the line items later. All right, thanks.
Okay. Otherwise, would someone like to make the motion to introduce?
I move that we introduce the ordinance as proposed.
Second.
Okay, and so as proposed is the hearing on April 3rd. We don't specifically have on our background sheet about closing the record on the 26th, but we can do that. We can have the closing record motion.
Yeah, that would be at the public hearing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, carries unanimously. Thank you, Nay.
Thank you.
Budget is introduced.
Do we, Mr. Mayor
Yeah.
or Lynn, do we need to formally make the announcement of the hearing date being scheduled, or was that sort of already encompassed in the ordinance?
That was encompassed in the motion, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was. Okay, from the city attorney.
No report this evening.
Okay, from any other staff. Dennis.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I wanted to provide you with a brief update on the city space and needs analysis. As everyone knows, we're a growing city still. We're approximately at 70,000, projected out to be a build out of about 100,000 residents. We began this study back in 2017 to look at the space needs, both present and future, and the facility conditions of our existing building infrastructure that we have here, including City Hall. We started this through a series of field surveys, occupant interviews. We collected the data both on the objective and the subjective level about how the spaces were being used at various facilities and how functional employees thought these spaces were. Again, these all result in facility user needs assessments, or FUNAs, as we affectionately call them. I probably am the only person who calls them that. But the overall purpose of the facility user needs assessment study is to survey existing office conditions and operational conditions, document those existing conditions, and compare those current use to recommended standards. We haven't had any real standards here within the city. We've just kind of grown as we've grown, and we were trying to put a little bit more structure to it. We also use those recommended standards to provide guidelines for future use of office space and operational needs of our real estate portfolio. And I think once we get more into this later on, when we do a presentation that gives more specifics, you'll find we have a lot more real estate than people really realize that we have for a city of our size. Again, the focus of the FUNA studies were City Hall, Public Works, the Kentlands Mansion, the Activity Center, and Casey. Casey was the last study we did, and that was completed in 2021. In conjunction with the FUNA studies, the city also conducted facility condition assessments for each of our facilities. So rather than just focusing on those that I just previously mentioned, we actually did a facility assessment for all the facilities we have within our portfolio. And the goal for that, and you've heard us do this on the streets, is to create a condition index. And so we have a facility condition index for each of our facilities that provides an objective indication of the building's overall condition. In addition to that, we also looked with those condition studies at specific items such as HVAC, the electrical usage, and the fire suppression systems. Again, some of those things might not seem glamorous, but things like electricity usage and how much electricity we having come into facilities is really critical as we look to modernize our fleet system in terms of electric vehicles. It's one of the things that we're finding out, that we probably don't have the capacity that we would need at the Public Works facility. Based upon those two studies, both the facility user needs assessment and the facility condition assessments, they're really critical in us understanding our portfolio and allow us to do some cost-benefit analysis relative to each facility, but also over the entire portfolio. You know, it's been a while since we started this initiative. During that time, what happened? The pandemic. And so one of the things that we're currently in the process of doing is looking at how the pandemic affected our facilities. I think initially, you know, we all saw that almost all the administrative staff that could function from home functioned at home, but we do have primary uses and services that still need those facilities, such as Public Works and the police department. They continue to operate in our facilities. We wanted to wait until we got back to what we would consider the new normal, because we weren't sure what the impact of those changes to our process have been. We recently have adopted our new normal in terms of a regular telework policy. We are no longer doing the emergency telework policy. All the employees who had the ability to telework filled out a telework agreement, and there were concerns about how much space we might need or the lack of space we might need based upon those telework agreements. What we've actually found, though, that there isn't a significant decrease in the amount of space that we're going to need, and that's based on two factors, right? The amount of teleworking we're actually having over the entire work week. We have roughly 16 people who work more than 4 days a week teleworking, so they don't get provided a space at the facility that they're at. And then we have an additional 14 employees who work 3 days a week or more teleworking. So over the impact of 312 employees, it's not a significant impact. So we're not seeing that reduction that what we might have thought we would see based upon the initial kind of telework that we were doing during the pandemic. In addition, we've always been really conservative with the space that we have. I think anybody knows that if you've been in our facilities. The other impact COVID kind of taught us is that we probably aren't, based upon some of the standards we were looking at, providing enough space to the employees. Some of the employee spaces were as small as 60 square feet, and we really can't do social distancing very well with that square footage. And so to help us prepare, and hopefully we won't have another pandemic, but I think we need to really look at that standard and increase that standard as we look at these studies. So we're still kind of analyzing the data post-pandemic related to the telework and how we're doing hoteling or hot stations, as we call them, where you just come and bring your laptop and that's about all you have at the station other than the monitors. And we're also looking at what the space needs are in terms of trying to allocate reasonable amount of space to, if in the future we need to do social distancing, we can do that. And if you look at the overall numbers before the pandemic and post-pandemic, we're not seeing a lot of difference between the needs that we initially had set out in terms of the FUNA studies and the facility condition assessments. One of the other concerns that we have when we look at our properties is we have a number of properties that were built in the 80s and early 90s, and so we're getting on close to 50 years for some of those properties. And the condition of those properties, we have some deferred maintenance in those areas. In addition, we have a lot of site constraints for some of the properties, such as Public Works and City Hall, that also play into how we look at consolidating or looking at the facility needs for expansion. So one of the things that we're currently doing now is trying to take an analysis over the entire portfolio. So for instance, we've identified needs at Public Works. I think most of you know the Stormwater Group has been operating from a trailer since we created the Stormwater Group when I got here. So that's going on almost 8 years now. So Public Works needs an expansion and a renovation based on its current condition. City Hall is in a similar condition and also has space needs that we can't currently meet here at City Hall. So as we kind of look at those and trying to be good stewards of the public money, we will probably look at consolidating some of the front-facing activities or operations that we have at both the Public Works and City Hall facility. Part of that comes out of both of them need additions, right, in addition to renovations, and those additions often are constrained by site or the actual cost of the renovation and addition that we would need to have take place. So as we kind of work through the process over the next fiscal year, this current fiscal year, 24 and 25, we'll start to look at how those might play out. And it might be in the best interest of the community to kind of consolidate some of those expansions into one expansion or one facility rather than trying to expand both Public Works and City Hall at the same time. Again, we're in the preliminary stages of looking at that data, but I wanted to come and give you an update with regard to that.
Thank you very much.
I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
I'm looking around.
And if anybody wants any light reading, I do have.
Much appreciated. Anything from any other staff? Not seeing anything. Okay, well, I will remind everyone to join us at our work session next Monday, March 13th. On the intersection pedestrian safety study and our bus shelter advertising and maintenance services. And a reminder, the next regular meeting of the Mayor and Council is on Monday, March 20th. Until next time, let's do great things, Gaithersburg. We are adjourned.